Welcome back to Built to Ship, the podcast where we go behind the scenes with founders and product leaders shipping real AI products into the world. I'm your host, Tyler Postal from Voker, and today I'm really excited to be joined by Akshaya, Director of AI Transformation at Zendesk, the complete customer service platform powered by AI. I'm very excited for our conversation. Thanks for coming onto the show.
Thanks for having me, Tyler. This is wonderful. Nice seeing you again.
Yeah, definitely. Always good to catch up. Well, why don't we start with a bit about your background, share with the audience what your career has been like and what brought you to Zendesk.
Yeah, my career has been anything but ordinary. Not in the sense that I'm highly successful or anything, but it's been through several industries. I started my career in gaming, computer games. We used to make computer games, mobile games back in the day when I was still young, and I slowly melded into enterprise software, product development. Now I've been at Zendesk for almost 5 years now, and what I do here is I look at the entire enterprise, see how we can apply AI. Off late, I've been focusing on finance and how we can streamline and modernize finance within Zendesk with AI. And I also run the internal audit department. So a lot of hats that I wear, but it all comes down to my experience in consulting, my business background, my engineering background. So everything coming together in one go now.
Amazing. Well, I definitely want to get into all the AI transformation, but I have to ask because I'm a gamer myself. Growing up, I was always interested in like getting into building games, and then I learned like how much skill and experience it takes. What was it like? Do you miss anything about it? Is there anything you could share?
We were still young when we were building, so we were a bunch of kids doing something, and we would get paid in Counter Strike rounds. Essentially, we build the game, and
Wow,
you sit there after 6 p.m. and you play till 10 p.m.
I
Counter
love
Strike,
that.
Quake, man, I sound old, don't I? Uh, so
I don't know. Counter
it,
Strike's still a big game.
yeah. It's a very enjoyable game, very fast and very defined in terms of timeline. So you can play it again. Very addictive. Um, we went through a journey of building a startup back then, and we went through our ups and downs. We built a game called Extreme Forces. To be cringy, we named it XTREEME Forces. Okay, Extreme.
Love it.
Uh, it was an RTS game. You could switch back and forth between first person mode and God mode. So think of it as a cross between Age of Empires and Duke Nukem, but in 3D. Um, we were one of the first engines, 3D engines coming out of India. And then I branched off and did my own mobile gaming startup. That's far less exciting because I was actually catering to customers. But we enjoyed the process and learned a ton about each other, about building games and how much math goes into it and how much physics goes into it. Needless to say, how much art goes into it. So I think that's the perfect medium of expression. um, Movies are a medium of expression, but games are something else because you're making it personal to the player. So I enjoy that space. I am still connected with all the founders of the company and all the people I
Amazing.
work with. One of them is still making games. So that kudos to him.
Wow.
His name is Joel Johnson. He's still based in India, and he is the only one who's really passionate about it.
Wow. I love that. I could spend the whole episode asking you questions. I can't believe we haven't talked about this more before. But I guess let's get into more of the AI stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me more about what it's been like leading AI transformation at Zendesk. What are things that you've really focused your time on, and why did you get excited about doing this kind of transformation? Why did it matter?
Yeah. The first time I used AI, I think it was August, September-ish, GPT-3 came out, 2023. And the first time I used it, I was like, okay, my job's gone. Because I'm a consultant, right? I tell the enterprise how to run the business better, how to protect the company. And all that matters in that world is understanding what can go wrong. And that comes with experience. So you should have served in multiple industries, multiple sizes of companies, multiple functions. But you go into, I remember we were assessing how do we change our payroll system because we were expanding around the world. We were going into 26 geographies. So how do we do this right? And if I were to do it, it would have been a 6-month project on my own. And you get a bunch of consultants. And I got an entire deck out of ChatGPT in 3 minutes. So I was like, okay, now this is a game changer. So started listening to a lot of people who have done legacy AI, ML, went into a lot of philosophy about consciousness and what life is. Um, how does AI relate to it, and how do we relate to AI? Because it's AI at the end of the day is made in the shape and form of a human's thought, right? We've trained it on the internet and such. Uh, so, okay, if intelligence gets democratized, how should a company be designed? It was my initial thought process, and that's where it began. That okay, if we are doing something within the company, how do we fundamentally change how people work? And we dipped our toes back then, saying you won't dive headfirst right into something that obscure and that new. So we started testing the waters with ChatGPT, rolled it out across the company, saw how people used it. And initially, the traction wasn't great. All people used it for was shortening messages and emails and writing prettier documents, etc. But as things moved on and agentic capabilities came into ChatGPT around GPT-4, and then Gemini came around and Claude, then it rapidly changed for the company that okay, this is here to stay. One, this is not a fad. Two, with the current state of the technology and the capability set, you can automate a lot of stuff that humans do, and we do a lot of stuff. Our jobs are mostly unnecessary stuff, if I may put it that, right? Drafting documents, moving data from here to there, transforming data, trying to get to a conclusion based on data and conversations. So all this could be done. So I started thinking about uh, okay, what function should we impact first? Obviously, go to market because you got to sell more, and AI accelerates that. So we had a couple of partnerships within the company to explore that area, and we put in some chatbots and some ways to fetch information to make it available in real time. And at the same time, product was building out AI features within Zendesk platform. Obviously, customer experience, AI is the centerpiece. That's the first technology that has been able to automate an agent's work. Because all you're trying to do is 50% of the time, and this is an actual metric, 50% of the time, the people asking questions are asking what, where, why, how. And you can answer that with a document. So we rolled out a platform called Unleash, which was an enterprise search platform. It had some integration capabilities. We integrated about 40 different data platforms into that and made it available to half the company. And we last month we bought the company to integrate
Wow.
it into the Zendesk product. So that signaled a mindset shift that okay, now we are serious. And close to the second half of last year, any decision that was being made from a SaaS perspective, because I'm a net buyer of software for my enterprise, if there are no agentic and AI capabilities, there's no point buying it. So
Hmm.
we put together a financial model that this is the ROI we need, this is the kind of investment we need to make, and these are the tranches of investment, and this is how we want to move forward. Very bare bones plan based on basic research on what other companies are doing. And from there on, we've hammered on. We recently got a software called Maxima AI that fully automates account reconciliation for accounting. It's tremendous. The amount of work it gets done, what we would have done in 6,000 hours. So that's 3 years, right?
Wow.
We'll get it done in real time. So that's insane, in my opinion. And if that kind of capability is coming out right now, just imagine 5 years from now. So we are starting to rethink internally. Okay, for what use cases do we want to apply AI, and how do we broad base this application. We recently onboarded Gemini,
Mm.
Google Gemini in our
Hmm.
workspaces, and that has transformed how finance functions. Now, you're not putting together pivot tables, you're not doing table joins, nothing. You just tell Gemini, take this file, take that database, do the analysis, give me the output. This is what I'm looking for. And to give you an example, if you run a company, you need to understand the ups and downs in the finances, right? Okay, my cash is going up this month, it's going down next month, my revenue is going up, my cost is going down, whatever. I need an explanation as to why to guide my company that okay, this is the pattern. Let's fix the pattern if needed, and we are able to get to that pattern 100% of the time. So it forms an all-in better informed finance functions. We can plan better, we can invest better.
And they focus more
Off
of their
late,
time on like thinking critically and using that
yep,
data instead of adding things in a spreadsheet. I'm
correct.
really curious, what have you seen? You know, you've led this transformation across an enterprise. You guys are ahead of a lot of other folks. To your point, it's amazing that these tools are already this capable. There's still so many companies that are just barely integrating like a basic chatbot,
Yeah,
let alone something that has agentic capabilities. And so I think we're only going to see the software improve. But what do you think are the biggest like challenges with promoting this transformation and adoption within larger orgs? Why did it take? Obviously, part of it you said was the models needed to get better and get more capable
mm,
with agentic features. But how did you lead this big change? It's a big change to how people work.
yeah. It's not been easy. You have to convince people. You're basically convincing people to change everything that they've learned their entire life in the way they do work. So it's not easy. It doesn't happen overnight. It's taken us 2 years. As I mentioned, we started the journey in 2023. Now we're in 2026. In by March, it'll be 3 years. So it's taken that amount of time. And really, you have to lay the foundations. You have to first get a grassroots approval that yes, I want to use this technology. You can't go directly to the executives and say roll out everything. So the grassroots people, the worker bees like myself, like the managers, the analysts, etc. We have to be convinced that this adds value to my life and this adds value to improves my quality of life at work. Once we do that, then there's inbound demand for tools and technologies like this. Right now, everyone's asking for AI tools at Zendesk. Every week, I sit on a committee called the Enterprise Architecture Review Board, and we review all the software purchases we are making to see how it fits into the jigsaw puzzle of the enterprise.
Mm.
And we see 10 new AI tools. So we've built up that demand. Now, to satisfy that demand, you need to invest. To invest, you need to convince the stakeholders. So now we are leveling up the conversation as to what a long term company vision looks like, what long term processes look like. And slowly, the skeptics are coming around and asking, hey, can you tell me any tools in my function that we can use?
Hmm.
So that's a
They're
slow
starting to get that
process.
that
Yeah,
that bit of jealousy of like, oh, I'm seeing other people get value. It's I want to, yeah, I want to participate.
yeah,
I don't blame people for being skeptical at first. There's a lot of promises that were made, and I think we're seeing the technology start to get
yeah,
to where people were talking about, like agentic capabilities and things like that. There's also
yeah,
just like a bad taste in people's mouth from maybe older tools that weren't
yeah.
this capable, and so it's going to take time for people to
Not
to
not
learn.
just that's the physical part, right? The psychological part is if you go to any employee, they've built an identity around the work they do.
Yeah.
Okay. You're an engineer, so you'll resonate with this. If you go to a senior engineer who's done Java all their life, they're a Java engineer. Now you're going to
Hmm.
say, hey, you know what? We're getting rid of Java. Let's move to some other platform. Here's Cloud Code. Migrate.
Yeah.
So you're you're
Yeah.
basically invalidating their entire identity because now they think they have to adapt quickly. That it's a large transformation of self as well as the work. So there's also the psychological component that you have to care about, and that's the most important um, because you can't just go out and buy more AI people.
Hmm.
There are
Yeah.
only so many, so you got
Yeah.
to transform your organization's culture and make them use it. So yeah, it all comes through. Big, it's probably the largest transformation challenge of anyone who takes up this transformation challenge of their lives, period.
Hmm.
Nothing like this has happened
Yeah, because it's
before.
so transformative
Yeah.
to make a bad pun. Well, when it comes to this investment that you mentioned, like you need to first realize the value and then decide to invest. There are a lot of
Yeah.
companies that have decided to put aside some amount of money to invest, but it sounds like you guys were pretty rigorous around, tracking ROI. So how
Yeah.
did you define that, and do you tie it to different things per function? What advice can you give to people?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to say, oh, we start using Claude Code or we start using this tool that has AI in it, but how do they actually measure that they're getting an
Yeah.
ROI?
I think going back to your previous point, the enterprises that are just getting into chatbots, what they'll end up measuring is productivity lift. That is, okay, how much extra work am I going to get done? Uh, as you graduate through the maturity curve, what you'll come to realize is productivity means nothing, because productivity increases will always be underreported. And how are you even going to start measuring it? You're going to ask people and they're going to tell you, okay, take my job because I got 100% productivity, right? Um, so that's the wrong metric. And that what that productivity measure has done is understate the effectiveness of the platform, of the technology. What you really have to measure is ROI in terms of real hard costs, hard revenue, and hence you have to pick use cases to get there. Even if you're testing it out, say you're going after engineering's development work with AI. How many extra lines of shippable code did you create with AI versus humans? Yeah, a simple measure, right? And also, you got to measure against cohorts. That is a junior engineer creating more code, shipped code, and quality
Mm,
code than a senior engineer who's handwriting the code? Then what is our organization mix after that?
mm-hmm.
Right? Those are the metrics. Again, use case by use case, very specifically, you got to define your use case and the KPIs associated with it and tie it directly with the outcomes you want: revenue, cost, profitability. Those are the only two measures. I think the cleanest measure of a company's financials is profit per employee, because it removes the noise of revenue. It
Yeah.
removes the noise of one-time adjustments. It removes the noise of COGS, all that. Are you able to move the needle on profit per employee? I think you start there and then you work backwards for into any process and see how it relates to it. That's how I would design it today, looking back at what we have done. And
Mm-hmm.
productivity is a bad measure to measure, if you can measure it at all.
Great insight for folks who are just starting out to measure this ROI on AI. Okay, this has been fascinating. I could chat forever, but we're getting close to time. So, last question I want to wrap up with is, you mentioned that you spent a lot of time recently in this internal audit, compliance,
Yeah,
finance space. What's the future for this space and how AI is going to transform it?
I think compliance is going to be completely agentic. And the current state is everything is manual. Everything is literally taking screenshots and extracting data out of screenshots.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, 100%. Even though the entire finance stack or the operational stack is fully digitized, compliance seems to be this stronghold of human intuition and human judgment. I think with agentic AI systems, LLMs are very good right now with some guardrails to come close, especially in financial workflows. If you take SOX, for example, Sarbanes-Oxley, uh, financial workflows are numbers. You don't need judgment. You need to tick and tie data flows between systems. This technology is already there. Use agentic AI to make it better and get the insights you need throughout the flow and get the compliance you need. You should not be measuring 5 samples a year and certifying your financial statements based on it. It should be 100% of your transaction set. And I think that's going to be the future. That's going to be the future for any finance driven process. That 100% of the transactions taken into account with AI, with the insights and with the capabilities to get to some conclusion, one of them being compliance, one of them being regulatory scrutiny, etc. I think that's a hot area that will get disrupted first within finance, because it's really seen as a compliance tax. Companies spend a lot of money on compliance, and they want to cut it down and invest it back into operations or invest it back into product. I think that's where that industry is going.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the time, Akshaya. It's been a great conversation. I want to put Zendesk's website up on the screen. I think most folks will have heard of it, but anything you want to share around, people who should check out Zendesk and how they can follow along with what Zendesk is doing or with what you're doing on your own socials.
Yeah, thanks for putting Zendesk up. I think anyone who's looking for a fully AI agentic platform for customer service, employee service, we are the gold standard. There's no one else in the industry that gives you the feature set and capabilities that Zendesk provides. And also, if you want to come work for Zendesk, if you're a great engineer, if you're looking for a position in an AI first company, come work for us. So those are the two audiences that should definitely check out the Zendesk website.
Amazing. Thanks again for your time. It's always great catching up, and we'll have to chat more about all the video game startup
Yes.
experience you have at some other point. Thanks again, Akshaya. It's been great chatting, and thanks to everyone for listening to Built to Ship. If you're building something, go ship it. See you next time.